Hi, I'm Dr. Linda Mintle. Hey, thanks for listening to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. Faith radio podcasts are only possible because of your support. Thanks for giving and for sharing with a friend.
Doing life together, reaching out with hope, encouraging one another, each step along the road. You and I can make everything a little better, doing life together.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. I'm your host, Dr. Linda Mintle, the relationship doctor, and I'm here along with my co-host, the other Dr. Mintle, my husband, Norm. And every weekend we are here and we're doing life together, and we're so glad that you've joined us.
We are. Welcome, everybody. Linda, have I told you today how much you matter to me?
Oh, I don't think so, but
No?
it's an interesting that you're telling it.
Well, you
today,
do.
on today's show.
You do, and I need to say it more often based on what we're about to learn of our topic today.
Oh, it's nice.
You know, there are a lot of experts who are alarmed by what they're calling a mattering deficit in our culture.
Mattering?
Mattering.
Like how do you, like mattering?
Do you matter?
Like M-A-T-T-E-R-I-N-G?
Yeah, they turned it into a verb.
A verb,
It's a
mattering.
Mattering.
It's a hard word to say, mattering. You say mattering or mattering?
Yes.
All right.
Either way, I'm glad we're talking about it today because I know this is an important topic in leadership, in government, in churches, and in relationships.
It is. It is really important in relationships. And relationships are impacted by a lot of the leadership people that we engage with all the time. So the original work on this topic, Norm, of mattering comes from the world of positive psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And then your area, purposeful leadership. So I guess that makes this the perfect blending of our two fields today. We can talk about psychology and leadership.
Okay,
How often
then.
do we get to do that together?
Yeah. Well, every night at home.
We
but,
do. We do. We do talk a lot about these two things.
Okay, let's try an exercise.
Okay.
When you think of an impressive friend, listen to what I'm saying, an
Okay.
impressive friend, or an impressive pastor, or a leader, what words do you use to describe that person?
Wow. I mean, charismatic comes to mind right away. Maybe inspiring. Somebody for me would have to be courageous to do the right thing, even though
Right.
it's not popular.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
kind of what comes into my mind.
Yep, those are all good. But did you know that when people were asked in a research project about great friends or leaders that they personally know or they do life with or they work with, they don't talk about those noble qualities.
Oh,
No. More likely, they will point to the small interactions, small moments when that friend helped them feel seen or heard.
wow. So I didn't pass the research test because that
No.
did not come to my mind. Although, as you're saying that, it makes total
Sense, right?
It makes total sense because all it takes is for a moment in your life where somebody really sees you. We have a friend right now who's about to go into having brain surgery.
Right.
And we really wanted to make it a point to say how much they are loved, they are cared about, how much they matter to us.
Right.
And I'm sure they're beloved by so many people, and I'm sure they have lots of people doing that. But that makes sense. If I was in that position, what would I want to hear?
Right.
I want to hear that I matter, I'm important, I'm a part of your life.
Right.
Makes total sense.
It's all about affirmation, I think. And when you think about a pastor or your boss, someone seeing a special gift that God has given you, and maybe you're even unaware of it, or provide affirmation about what you do, but not just that, more importantly, who you are, how powerful would that be?
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to a lot about your esteem, your self-esteem. I know we should get our esteem from God, but obviously it also is important for people in our lives to validate who we are. So I can see how much of a mattering deficit we have in our country and even in our own personal relationships. I mean, we don't say how often we matter to each other. We don't. We've been married a long time. We should be saying to each other that you matter to me.
Right.
I know we have this award where I work. It's called You Matter.
Yeah.
But
It feels hollow, doesn't it?
It feels a little stilted in terms of how they do it. But we do matter to God, and we matter to other people. And as we've said so far, the best most empathetic friends and leaders have practiced this skill of showing people their value.
Oh, you said something important. They've practiced it. Maybe it doesn't come naturally. I found a book by Dr. Zach Mercurio, who's the author of The Power of Mattering.
Oh.
Maybe he invented the word. How leaders can create a culture of significance. That's important. In which he does a very deep dive into 3 critical skill sets that he believes can lead us, along with our leaders and friends, to cultivate this sense of mattering.
Okay, this is good. So when we looked at that book, the 3 skill sets are noticing, affirming, and needing. All important skills, if you think about it, for any relationship you have.
Right. So let's go through the 3 skills. Start with noticing. Is noticing more than what it sounds like, or is that what it is?
You know, I think essentially, yes, it's a little bit more, because this is the skill of truly seeing and hearing other people. I mean, seeing them. Seeing often requires you to acknowledge them, to pay attention to the details, to the ebb and flow of their lives, and work, so you know a lot about them. You're constantly in this flow with somebody while offering actions to show them that you're paying attention.
Right.
So it's just not observing it, but it's also being active in that process. And other than our relationship that we have, can you think of a workplace that does this?
Our daughter works at one, I think.
We are so impressed because this is the first company. You and I have been in the workforce a long time.
Right.
And I think this is the first company where we've just been astonished by how much they do what we're talking about.
How much they care. They care about getting her in the right position, the right fit. And it struck me when you were talking earlier about hearing it, it's really that deeper skill of listening, which if someone's truly listening to me and they're feeding back that they're getting it, that's so affirming.
Yeah.
Oh, you care. I do matter.
Yeah, and that relates to what they're calling hearing, where someone demonstrates that interest in the meaning and the feeling behind someone's words and welcoming interactions with them. Like it's welcoming. They're listening, but they're also hearing you. They're having this experience with you in a climate of, this is a word that's really popular in psychology, but it's psychological safety.
What does that mean?
It just means that
it's okay.
I know that if I say something to you and you hear me, it's going to be safe.
Right.
You're not going to do anything unsafe with
Even
that.
if I disagree with it.
Right.
Okay.
So that is such an important concept, even in our deepest relationships.
Right.
If we don't have that, we don't have psychological safety, we don't feel like we've been heard or seen in our relationships, it really would affect the intimacy that we would have with someone else.
Makes sense. His second skill set is called affirming, and that one sounds pretty obvious. It's just noticing us, right?
Yeah. I mean, once you're aware, you notice, right? Someone's life details. It is really important to do that, I think, in every relationship you have. So doing that with your friend, your partner, your employee. It's no good if you don't really affirm them ever. You could notice things, but if you don't affirm them in that process and validate and reassure them, it's not going to really move your relationship forward.
No, and I think especially in a work relationship, for example, you can say, oh, great job, and people can tell whether you meant it. Did you really mean that?
Yeah, I mean, do you think...
And if you really mean it, you'd expand on that.
I mean, think about all the times, even our families. It's just not in our jobs, but even in our families. How often were people affirming? I mean, I love my father. I adore him. But he was not an affirming person. No. He rarely said anything to me that was affirming. And I was always wanting to make sure that I got validated by him. And I did. But there is something that is missing in a lot of these relationships. So that skill of knowing, naming, nurturing people's gifts, showing how they and their work makes a difference, gives a lot of meaning, gratitude, and it's really important for us to get that kind of feedback. It's what affirming is all about. It's the practical action step to the first skill of noticing.
That makes sense. So I notice you, and then because I notice you, I pay attention, I'm listening, I'm seeing, then I'm letting you know how important that is. I'm affirming you as a professional, as a personal friend, as a person of value. So, yeah. Okay, the third skill set, he says, is needing. This is one skill that seems to be lost on so many people who feel like what they do just doesn't make a difference or has an impact. They don't feel needed.
I know. I think we're struggling with a purpose sense, even though we had that great book about purpose
Right.
from Rick Warren years ago.
Right.
But people are really struggling with that and meaning. It's causing people to lose meaning in their lives. So the skill of showing people how they and their work are indispensable and non-disposable
That's
is
good.
as important and different of a focus that we need to have with other people. So I need to feel like I'm making a difference, and I need to feel like I'm not just going to be replaced and
Right.
I can be easily replaced. And when we can point that out, how valuable or important a person is, or their ministry is, or their work interactions are, the more we say, my life would be so different without you. Or this church's health and growth are due to your loving leadership. Just think if we could say that more often and people would feel like they are needed.
Right. I have a leader on my floor and in my life who will stop by every once in a while to remind me of what contributions I've made to
That's
this
nice.
organization.
That's nice.
And sometimes I go, oh, yeah. And then I think about it, I go, oh, that was nice. That was affirming. That felt good. I felt needed. That makes a lot of sense.
And we're not saying that we're so needed in the kingdom that God just has to have us, that
No.
we're great.
No.
It's not a prideful thing. It's just part of how we're wired and what helps us to really have better relationships.
And we're not being needy. This is something important.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I'm on the receiving end of this kind of affirmation, it helps me understand my own life and my calling and my effectiveness.
I mean, I think that's the point, right? So we, especially as Christians, are called to love one another and to prefer one another in love. And using these skills fits into the call to love. And that
That's
was
good.
Jesus'
Yeah,
big
yeah,
call.
absolutely.
Please love one another.
Right.
Love God, love one another.
And Paul said it to the believers in Rome. He said, be devoted to one another in brotherly love and outdo yourself in honoring one another.
That must be a version. That
That's a
must be
version
one of
that
the versions
makes
of
sense.
maybe a more practical version. But to outdo yourself to honoring one another. I mean, do we
good.
do that?
That's good.
I
All right,
don't
let's
know.
take a short break. When we return, we're going to explore another deficit we see in our relationships. And of course, we're going to look at powerful solutions. Don't miss it. We'll be right back.
Anxiety is something I dealt with for years. Got to the point where I did not want to leave my house. I knew that was not the best life. And all I can say is God delivered me. It's been over 20 years since I've had an anxiety attack.
When I'm feeling anxious, this is what I do. I pray and I go for a walk.
Anxiety for me always starts in my head and shoulders, and I start to get like this little headache. So I just start to begin to relax and praise. Worship should be a lifestyle. And so just give it to the Lord. Say, hey, God, this is yours. Deal with it.
Anxiety does not have to control your life. Find peace, strength, and hope with Dr. Linda Mintel's new book, Hope and Healing for Anxiety. It's available wherever you buy your books. Did you know you're listening to the Dr. Linda Mintel Show? You are, and I hope you're enjoying it. I want to remind you that you can check out her books and blogs on her website, drlindamintel.com. That's where you'll find all sorts of great information, and you can connect with her on her social media platforms, X and Instagram, at Dr. Linda Mintel, or on Facebook at Dr. Linda Mintel, author and speaker. Linda, in our first segment, we discussed this powerful principle of mattering. It was a new word for us, but it made so much sense because it fits in alignment with Christian perspectives of loving one another, what Jesus told us to do. But it's always interesting to me how the psychologists and the leadership gurus finally discover and catch up to biblical principles.
I know.
They're so foundational to the way we treat each other because they're in the Bible and God knew.
That's so true. And in a few of our past shows, Norm, you have mentioned Bob Chapman, who is a highly successful CEO of a major manufacturing corporation. And he had a revelation at church one Sunday. But before you tell us about his epiphany, set the stage so we can get to know his story a little bit.
Okay, in my business, we call this the backstory.
Okay.
All right, here's the backstory on Bob Chapman. He's the CEO of a company called Barry Way Miller.
Oh.
It's a $3 B with $1 billion global capital equipment business. They have over 12,000 employees. He was also recently named the number 3 CEO in the entire world by Inc. magazine and the top 10 social capital CEOs by International Business.
Wow, that's not really a household name.
No,
Is
nobody
it?
knows Bob Chapman.
I mean, you know him
I
because
know
you've
him.
been reading about him for a long
That's right.
time.
His story is so fascinating. He became senior executive of this private company in 1975 at the tender age of 30.
Oh, goodness.
On his birthday, his parents took him to dinner and said, "Son, it's time to get in the family business." And he goes, "No, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. I want to do these other things." And they talked, and at the end of dinner, Bobby decided to join the family business. 1 month later, his father died.
Oh, my goodness.
1 month later.
Wow.
The business at that point was 80 years old and brought in $20 million in revenue. Nice business. But they used outdated technology. They were in a pretty weak financial position. And all of a sudden, after Dad died, the banks started showing up to collect their debts.
And as I understand the story, because I've heard you talk about this man quite often, a sermon he heard in church one Sunday literally changed everything.
Everything.
Right?
He tells a story that as he reflected on his priest's sermon that day, as they walked out of church, he realized he wasn't truly loving all of his employees. I mean, who thinks like that? Must have been a powerfully anointed Holy Spirit
Yes.
moment, if you ask me. But he applied the Word of God that day, and in so doing has changed the lives of literally thousands of people in his company, and by ripple effect, hundreds of thousands more.
Oh, I love this story. I mean, he realized that everyone in his company, everyone
Yes.
in his company is someone's beloved child. Think of that. When he refocused his attention away from manufacturing and products and profits and instead began to see all the people who helped him every day work towards success. You know, they were helping him in his company.
Right.
They were part of the success of what he did, and he saw them as people who were made in God's image, and it just changed everything for him.
Revolutionized his entire life, and by the way, his company, as I'm about to tell you. He went from seeing his workers as humans to seeing workers as people God loved. And so, well, he should, I suppose. But he meant that as he learned this, that as their leader, he should demonstrate how much he valued them. Or to use the language we used earlier in our program about mattering, he wanted his employees to know how much they mattered to him personally, as well as the success of his company.
And I love that he used this language. He began to say, everyone is someone's, and here's the phrase, cherished child. I mean, how powerful that, how affirming. We've been talking about affirming in this show, and valuing
Right.
is that to be someone's cherished child. So when we change our focus from seeing others as valuable to us for some purpose or goal to really seeing them as someone's precious child or someone precious to God and thus to us, we see people just like God does.
Right. One of the insights I took away from this was when I realized that Chapman, when he began to see people as someone's child. So this person that I'm having a problem with, someone's mother loves them desperately. You know,
Yeah.
they're loved, was also acknowledging that they were first God's cherished child. And God loved them more than mom loved them, which means what's my responsibility in loving them when Jesus told me I had to love them like I loved God? Well, if my team is that much loved by God, he thought, how could I not also find them lovable and intrinsically valuable?
I mean, this is like a paradigm shift for most businesses in America.
It would
if they
revolutionize.
adopted this.
Yes.
So he went on to create a leadership institute within his own company, right?
He did. He got into this so much that he created an institute, and everyone who goes up for promotion has to go through the Truly Human Leadership Institute in his company, and they have to pass it so that they can move up in rank.
I love that. I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
I don't work for him, though. I wonder if there's a way you can do it. Regardless, right? One of the lessons they learn in the Institute is Bob's saying, you cannot ask people to care as leaders. You have to teach them how to care.
Yeah.
So that's his idea here, is that I'm going to put him through this process because I got to teach him how to do it, how to care.
Well, and what he's saying there is it's teachable. It doesn't come
Yes.
to us naturally.
Yes.
You can't just say, hey, Go care for people. Yeah. Ain't going to work. Yeah.
It's like our emotional intelligence. Remember we did that show?
That's right.
We talked about that, and we said you can learn to be more emotionally intelligent. It's not like you're stuck in life without having to figure out how to do that.
Well, it's funny you say that because his philosophy, which is now proven so powerfully persuasive and is now in his book and all over in the literature of business, has followed those principles of emotional intelligence that we have studied. Can all of these emotion-focused strategies be learned, Linda? I mean, we just said you can learn some things, but it seems to me that most people at least feel that I'm not a warm, fuzzy kind of person. I'm just cold and calculating. I'm a left-brain person. I just do math. I don't care about people. Can you learn to change that?
You remember both of us did training with a company called 6 Seconds, and it was all about emotional intelligence, and it was learning how to be emotionally intelligent and looking at the aspects of that, breaking it down. So yes, this is something that people can learn. And, we know when we think about loving and caring for people, we know that God isn't just loving, he is love. Right? I think about how this change in perspective, I mean, it could change your family life, it could change your relationships, your circle of friends, and even I would love to see this in my professional life, these relationships.
So that's really helpful because we did go through that training to learn. Bob Chapman does that same thing, but he puts his heart and his philosophy to work every single day. He believes that his company measures their success. Listen to this. He actually has this saying, we measure our success by the way we touch the lives of people. And he's talking about not just his employees, but also their millions of customers around the world. Now, that is a world-changing strategy in my mind, and it's inspired by a single sermon and the power of God's living word. Wow.
Yeah, what a takeaway from a sermon.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a few of those, be that powerful. And Norm, we know that God isn't just loving. I mean, he's a lot of things. He is love.
He is.
He is. So think about, as you're hearing this, just think about how this change in perspective could be used in your life, in your relationships, in your family, your circle of friends, and even in your professional life relationships. Listen to these powerful words and think about what they mean in light of our discussion today. You're going to recognize where this comes from, but these are powerful words. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
So in your work relationship, if you don't think about loving someone, you don't think that these words apply to that relationship as well at work. So all new meaning, all new application to that famous 1 Corinthians 13 passage. Here are some others. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit.
Wow.
Well, we could just stop there.
Right.
Rather, in humility, value other people above yourself, Paul said to the Philippians.
But that's anti-culture.
Completely.
It's all about me and what I want. It's not about valuing others above myself. Wow.
Okay, here's one from himself. Jesus said, you have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. Well, I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. That, why? So that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He, your Father, causes the sun to rise on the evil people and the good. He sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love people who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors, the worst people in their culture, doing that? And if you only greet your own people, what are you doing more than others? Don't pagans even do that? Yeah. Jesus was right on the money.
Yeah, those are prescriptions from him in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5. And here's one more from Jesus, which he gave to his disciples as they had their final meal together. When we watched this scene in The Chosen, Norm, it was so powerful. I cried.
Right.
Because Jesus said, a new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another.
Think about it. Jesus was almost at the very end of his teaching time with these people. 3 years of intense, every day, sitting around campfires as we see in The Chosen and how he talks to them on the road. He sums it all up with that. Love each other. How? The way I've shown you, the way I love you. And that's what Bob Chapman has incorporated into this huge global mega business. Loving other people the way God loves By the way, he's proven it can be done.
Well, I hope what you take away from our conversation today is that only people can value people. And as Christians who have God's Holy Spirit living in us, we are uniquely qualified to see people as God does, to truly hear them, value, and validate them, to love them as God does. Well, that's all the time we have today. Many thanks to my co-host Norm Mintel, who makes this show a conversation, to our technical producer Wan Jingpu, and our editor Katie Sims-Wilson. From all of us here at Faith Radio, we'll talk to you again next weekend. In the meantime, remember, we're doing life together, and it's better when you don't have to do it alone.
Doing life together.
Hey, thanks for listening to this conversation from the Dr. Linda Mintel Show. These conversations are available because of your support. Become a supporter now at myfaithradio.com. Please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes, and share it with friends so we can live life to the fullest, walk confidently, and find healing and hope.